part 4. So I need to go back through 2009 a little bit more in depth because that's where a lot of your questions are. So the first part of 2009, I'll say the first quarter, I am confiding in Shawnee. I'm talking to her about pretty much everything I'm going through. She was one of the first people I told that I was pregnant, so I really thought I had a friend. When it came down to me telling her that Superman had reached out about trying to work things out, it was do what you feel is best for you and your son, follow your heart, don't listen to what people have to say, nothing biased. So I decide to work things out. As we're working things out, there are also conversations about a reality show. When I discussed it with him, he was all for it. He wanted to do it. He was excited about it. I told Shawnee, and easy sell. So during this time, we are working on our relationship. We are out in public. I mean, I'm going to the games. Our son is wearing his jersey. We had a Magic Dancer reunion. I am buying a house. I am shooting a sizzle reel in Miami for the show. And that's when the verbal assault started. But I took my ass to LA and I went and I pitched that show to all those different networks, and I talked about how great of a relationship I was in, and I just knew I got it sold. I get back home and I find out that I have been cheated on with several women. All that I kept thinking in my head was, this man does not like to use condoms. I went off. I went to the clinic, I got tested, and I went off on Twitter. I mean, woo! I was letting his ass have it, y'all. Of course, he got pissed off, and we, broke up. And then a couple days later is when he comes by the house, and he's supposed to be picking up our son. He's mad because I would usually have a backpack and some of his favorite snacks at my house, but we're not together, so why the fuck would I have that? But anyway, obviously, he's in a bad mood, so I'm just trying to ignore his attitude. He's yelling in the house like, oh, I'm ready to go, and where's his bag? And I'm like, it's in the closet. He goes to the closet, and I'm asking him like, yo, you good? Like, you okay? Because you acting real strange. He turns around and proceeds to tell me how stupid and useless I am, how I'm worth nothing, how nobody will ever want me, no man is ever going to want to be with me, how I'm the best that he could ever get, I'll be back, all these things. That's when I go into the family room and I tell his friend, like, yo, get your friend. He acting crazy. Like, what's wrong with him? And he comes out. That's when he grabs my hair, flings me into the entertainment center. Same thing with our son. I told this story in part 3. I don't really want to have to rehash it. But before they left, obviously his friend is saying, hey, man, stop. That's a female. But he's still screaming and calling me every name besides the one I was given. They then pick up our son, and they leave. I'm now left to have this conversation about what just happened with my goddaughter. After that, I then had to pick up our son from his house. And I'm sorry, y'all. I do not know why I laugh or smile when I'm telling my trauma. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I know it looks weird. I know it looks crazy. I don't know if it's a coping mechanism. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I don't know why I do that. But they leave with our son, and like I said, I have to now go and pick him up from his house after this visitation, and I'm in his room, and that's when the knife situation happened. It should also be noted that prior to me going to pick up our son, we had had a few conversations, and I forgave him again. So I get to the house, and he asked me to come into his room. I go, he closes the door, and he pulls a knife out on me. He says, I could really kill you right now and claim self-defense, and they would believe me because everyone loves me here, and they hate you. To attempt to rewrite history is crazy because those of you who were at the house that day know exactly what happened. But maybe that hypnotism did work. So he comes over to the house about a week or so later, and we're hanging out with our son, watching a movie in the family room. Remember, we're trying to work things out. And I go to the bathroom. When I come out the bathroom, he's in the bedroom. He wants to have sex. I say no. My cycle is on. He says he wants head. And I say, no, our son is right there in the other room. He proceeds to get up. He shuts the door. He comes over to me and he pushes me down to the floor like he did before. And he proceeds to ram his waist into my face. If you can imagine what that feels like, think about someone punching you in your nose at 6'11", 200 pounds, and their pants are still on. Think about that happening over and over and over again to you. You're now in tears. Your son is in the next room. You've already basically been told that you're hated by your hometown, so call the police on Superman? Clark Kent? Baby Jesus of Orlando? No, you can't do that. Okay, so that situation happened, and that is what ultimately led me to leave the relationship. Not soon after that, the show got picked up. And that's when contracts started going around and our attorneys started speaking with each other. And because I was still signed on to do the show and he was not, they were concerned about what I was going to say on the show. So they were like, well, we just want to make sure that she doesn't say anything bad about him because of his career. And we don't want any type of, defamation. The next day, my attorney calls me to his office and he's like, hey, you need to get here as soon as possible. I need you to sign this agreement. And I was like, what agreement? He said, the agreement about what we talked about yesterday with you and Superman. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I get in my car, and I think I was even at the park because I was close. But I get to his office, and it's not even 4:50 yet. It's like 4:40 something. And he's like, sign this agreement. So I'm looking at it first. I'm trying to at least skim it. And he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'll read everything. So he says it's basically the conversation that we had, a couple days prior, just in writing. I said, okay. I signed the paper. I trusted him to my detriment. He then goes, hurry up, we gotta go. I'm like, okay. So we're rushing out the office. I'm right behind this man, and we go to get in the car. He's like, what you doing? I was like, you said we gotta go. And he was like, well, not you. I was like, what do you mean, not me? He was like, you're not dressed appropriately. I had on an orange tank top and jeans and sneakers. This man went to court, and rather than me not be there for the judge to ask me if I knew what I was signing, for the judge to go through the different provisions of what that agreement said, and me have to agree to it, my attorney did that. You want to know what that agreement said? That I could not say his name, any type of insinuation, his middle name, nobody in his family's name, his friend's name. I couldn't even say my son's name, y'all. And if anybody in the room was even talking about him, I would have to leave. And it said not till death, but till death and the end of time. That attorney later withdrew as my attorney. But there's a new agreement in place, which trumps the old one. So as much as I wanted to fight it and argue it down because it was on some bullshit, my attorney had to remind me, it's not about the little battles. It's about the war.